What is up, everybody? I hope you are having a fantastic evening. You will notice that I am solo. That was not by design. Coach and I were going to do a show. It was supposed to begin about 20 minutes ago, and we had technical difficulties. So I'm going solo dolo while he tries to figure out on his end what's going on. Here's a lesson to everybody. All right. Coach has the best of the best, the fanciest of the fancy. I, on the other hand, have nice things, don't get me wrong, when it comes to this streaming stuff, but I didn't go as crazy as Coach. Coach has more technical difficulties than anybody because of the fancy schmancy. Sometimes you just need to be simple. So hopefully Coach can get it figured out and he and I can go later on in the week. At the very least, it'd be nice to be back together doing our show next Monday, cover two. But the show must go on. Here we are. Let's hit this intro and I'll be right back. All right. Welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm back, baby. I am so back. Scheduling shows with Sunil going forward. Coach and I will get our Mondays figured out. And yeah, I'm ready to go. I got my hosting gigs that I've got on Roundtable Sports. Just looking forward to everything. Feeling good. Feeling good. Hope everybody is feeling as good as well. Sorry about how it took so long to get us going, but here we are. Yeah, don't listen. Cricket Wireless is for the birds. I'd recommend not doing it. Gojira Von Jing says a couple of minutes reminds me of the idiot that always says a couple more at the Niners presser. I appreciate that you held me accountable there. That's just it is what it is, man. I don't know what to tell you. All right, let's talk a little bit. So we've got practice this week, joint practice with the Broncos. I'm excited to talk about that. But first, let's talk about what happened today with the 49ers. So the 49ers released Trey Avery. Actually, let's talk about who they signed first. They signed Fabian Moreau, Jalen Mahoney, Isaiah Prince, Bradley Anae, and Bruce Hector. Stop me when you've heard of any of these guys other than maybe Moreau and Mahoney. Obviously, Mahoney has been here in the past. He was undrafted. He was on the team a little bit back and forth last year. Camp bodies, a lot of camp bodies. But here's who they released. Trey Avery, Isaiah Nayer, who everybody knows that was like the freak guy in camp, big body receiver, all the things, and he just hasn't put it together. And this is, mind you, a unit that could use some help. Isaiah Nayer did not make the cut. They also cut a couple of Larry Krueger favorites. I know that he's punching air right now. What's up, Larry? Hope everything's going well with you, brother. But he's punching air for sure because Mason Pline and just another Mordecai, a.k.a. Tanner Mordecai, was also released today. But the big release was not a quarterback, a wide receiver, a corner, or a tight end. It was, in fact, a kicker, folks. That is right. The 49ers said that they had to let go of Joseph, not because of competition reasons necessarily, but because they need bodies for these joint practices. If you remember, something similar happened last year with the 49ers being so injured that they had to cancel joint practices with the Saints. This year, they've got two joint practices, one with the Broncos coming up Thursday, and then in a couple weeks with the Raiders as well. They did not want to cancel these joint practices, so they had to bring in healthy bodies, which is why they moved on from Greg Joseph. If you remember last week, though, those of you that were here, we talked about the kicker competition. It was either last week or the week before. Sorry, time is Time is a concept at this point to me. I don't even know what's going on half the time, to be real with you, what day it is, whatever. I'm just living life, all right? But what I will say is that at one point over the last couple of weeks, we talked about this kicker competition. And I said, if it was even close, there is no way they were going to move on from Jake Moody. It just wasn't going to happen. 0% chance because he was the third round pick. They want him to win the job. And then I also said Jake Moody is likely not going to lose the job through practice. He's just not. He doesn't miss many kicks in practice. Now it turns out that he missed more kicks than one Greg Joseph, but it was only by, I believe, one kick, maybe two, and that wasn't enough for them to move on from Jake Moody. Jake Moody is going to be given the chance unless he was absolutely buns in practice, which was never going to happen. So here we are. Jake Moody, by default, wins the job before they even kick in an actual game. Are you as worried as I am? Because I am very concerned with this kicking position. I hope that Jake Moody can turn it around, but I also know that Jake had the yips. Whether it was an injury or not, he had the yips last year. He couldn't make kicks consistently. He so much so, and if you don't believe he had the yips and you think it was all injury, why did he change his kicking approach? A player that doesn't have the yips doesn't change what they've done since who knows when, high school, middle school, however long he's been kicking. You're just going to change all that up in one offseason because you don't have the yips. He has the yips. Now, that doesn't mean he can't get over the yips. It doesn't mean that he can't turn it around and be good this year. But we couldn't even make it through one preseason game to test these guys to figure out if it's worth it. We'll see. We'll see about Jake Moody. But the fact that he was a third round pick, and that's way higher than any kicker should ever be drafted, that is ultimately why he is here and Greg Joseph is not. It certainly didn't come down to a kicker competition, and Jake Moody was never going to lose it in practice. It just wasn't going to happen. So here we go. And the problem is, even if the special teams is a million times better, Jake Moody missing kicks can ruin all of those things. Everything can be ruined by Jake Moody. A game can be ruined by Jake Moody. The 49ers are not the 49ers of 2 years ago. They don't have the luxury of smacking teams around the way that they always have. That is not the 2025 49ers. The 2025 49ers, I imagine, are going to be in a lot of close games. How do you feel if 8 games are decided by 3 points or less this year and Jake Moody is the difference maker in those games at some point? Do you feel confident that Jake Moody is going to get it done more often than not? I certainly don't. I certainly don't. Now, again, I'm not saying it's impossible. And I'm sure there are people that are keeping their receipts and they're going to come back and say, well, Jesse, you said that. No, all I'm saying is that I'm worried about it. Not that he can't do it, not that he won't deliver, but I'm not comfortable with the fact that he'll deliver based off of what? What proof do we have to this point in Jake Moody's career that says if 8 games are decided by a field goal or less, potentially on the right leg of Jake Moody, that we should be confident in the outcome? What proof do we have? Because if you remember, the 49ers went from a kicker in Robbie Gould, who missed 0 kicks in his playoff career, to a kicker in Jake Moody, who missed a kick in every game of his playoff career. Whether it was an extra point or a field goal, he missed a kick in every single playoff game. That's who we're talking about. So, listen, maybe I'm being too harsh. I don't know. If you want to believe in him, that's great. But that's blind belief, because there is no way that you have any proof based off of performance that Jake Moody can come through in those situations consistently. And my guess is the 49ers are going to need his right leg an awful lot, and it's going to decide multiple games this year. Hopefully, it works out for the best. But the kicker competition, as it were, never existed. Here we are. Jake Moody's the guy, and now we can only root for him. Savage says, what's your over or under on how many games Jake Moody costs us? Okay. Well, if I put the over under, what would it take for you to take the under? Let's start high. We're gonna go with the chat. I need all of you to contribute here. Over or under 3.5 games, Jake Moody decides for the 49ers one way or another. Not good or bad, just over or under 3.5. Let's just find that right number. Let's find the number that we think he's going to decide. Okay. And then let's see where we are comfortable taking the under that he blows it. I think 3.5's about right. So let's say Jake Moody's going to decide 3.5 games. All right. Are you taking the over or the under that he blows those games? So does he blow at least 4 games? You going over or are you going under? I'll go under on 3.5. I would. But that's still not good. three games? That means he could blow 3 games? All right, let's go to the other extreme. Let's go 1.5. We'll go 1.5. Are you taking the over or the under that he blows at least 1.5 games for the 49ers this year? Over or under 1.5? I'm taking the over. I'm taking over 1.5. Like right now, I feel pretty good that he'll blow at least 2 games for the 49ers this year. That's how much confidence I don't have in him. So some of you took the over on 3.5, which that's a lot. But we're almost all in agreement that he's going to blow at least 2 games for the 49ers this year, based off of this comment section. That's not good. That is not good. So now let's look at the course of the season. 49ers have 17 total games. They need to win at least 10 games to make it to the playoffs, okay? We don't know which games he's going to blow, but let's all assume that he's going to blow 2 games. That means there's 15 games left, and the 49ers have to go 10-5 on their own. Jake Moody aside. Now, 10-5 sounds a lot different than 10-7. So out of the remaining 15 games, are you confident that the 49ers are going to be able to win 10 of those? I don't know. That makes it a lot harder, I'll tell you that. It sure would be nice to have a kicker you can rely on. Joseph says, what is the worst record you are okay with? They can't win anything less than 10 games that I'm okay with. I could see anywhere. I mean, realistically, when I look at this schedule, I don't see a path to less than 9 wins. Like, that's the floor. The ceiling is 12 wins. I think realistically, we're looking at 10 or 11. That's the more realistic spot to be in. If they don't win at least 10 games, though, this season's an absolute disaster. Absolute disaster. So, no. I wouldn't be okay with anything other than 10 wins. No way. No way. All right, let's talk about a couple players that are injured. Kevin Givens injured his pec. He's out for a while, according to Kyle Shanahan. A player that injures his pec and is out for a while, most likely tore his pec. That to me sounds like maybe he can make it back for the final couple weeks of the regular season in the playoffs, assuming that they're in. Best case scenario, but if it's a torn pec, his season's most likely done. Isaac Garendo has a shoulder injury and he's out, quote unquote, a few weeks. Isaac Garendo, should be a big part of this offense this year. But Isaac Garendo is not proving he can stay healthy. I mean, this is like his 4th or 5th injury in 2 years with the 49ers. And he'll certainly never be a bell cow back. That we know. He's always going to have to be a complementary piece. But the fact that he can't even be a complementary piece right now and stay healthy, I mean, that hurts because he's the exact type of complementary piece that you want with your running back that's like a first and second down guy. You don't want other types of back. Like Isaac Garendo is perfect. He's a good route runner. He's a good receiver. He's explosive. He's just a really good change of pace to pretty much anything else that you can get. He's like the perfect piece that you want to be that guy to go along with whoever your main running back is. But if he can't stay healthy, I mean, what are you going to do? Because when I look at like Jordan James, I look at him as like a running back, like your full-time guy, not a complementary piece to Christian McCaffrey. Jordan Mason the same way. I looked at him as like a full-time guy, not a complementary piece. Now, that doesn't mean you can't use them both. And obviously, you got to do what you can to keep CMC healthy and going through the season. So you're going to have to use these guys. But in an ideal world, if you have your number one back and then you have a guy like Isaac Garendo, that's exactly what you want. Like, that's perfect. You want that explosive pass catching guy to be on the field in third downs. Look at what the Ravens do with Travis Henry. I mean, most complimentary backs are receiving backs, and that's exactly what Garendo is. So the fact that he's out again, man, these injuries are piling up. Now, we don't have any like season enders. Kevin Givens aside, maybe his is, but it's enough nagging injuries to where the 49ers had to make sweeping changes going into practice. We're like not even into this thing yet. We're not even into this thing yet. It's absolutely crazy. We're not into the season quite yet. And players are already super injured. Now, good news is guys like Ricky Pearsall, healthy, back, looking good. Juwan Jennings, there was an interesting question posed to Kyle Shanahan. He was asked about Juwan Jennings, and he's like, well, as far as I know, it's a calf injury, and that's what their injury report says. Is he holding it? I don't know. I mean, players, this is the strangest year I've ever seen for hold-ins, by the way, because usually players come into camp and they're holding in. Like, it's just the decision's already made up. But this year, Juwan Jennings aside, we don't know what he's doing. I believe he's injured, but we'll see. If he's doing the hold in, he's doing it exactly how other players are doing it to this point, where Micah Parsons practiced, showed up to all the offseason stuff, and is now doing a hold in. Cook for the Bills, James Cook, practiced, showed up, and is now doing a hold in thing. Terry McLaurin practiced, showed up, now doing a hold in thing. So it's possible that Juwan Jennings is doing that, certainly. I think he's hurt. I do, but I don't know. The way that Kyle Shanahan talked about it and kind of smiled about it, it does make you think. It does make you think maybe he is holding in. Again, to me, I personally think that's a mistake. I don't think Juwan Jennings is a caliber player that can hold in. But if it works, more power to him. Like I said, if he gets a new contract, I'm expecting like 2 years, 30-ish million is what I would expect. I wouldn't think anything big, not a massive payday. But we'll see. We'll see. I wish that were the case. I hope that's the case. I would rather that than him actually having a calf injury, because we know that calf injuries often lead to Achilles and tears and stuff like that. So I hope that that's the case. I just have my doubts, but we'll see. But again, there is some good news. Jordan James returned. McKivitz returned. Pearsall looks really, really good. And from all the reports, the way that Pearsall is getting loose is exactly how I thought it would work for him in the NFL. He's not going to be a guy that can beat press consistently, but that doesn't mean he can't be successful. It doesn't mean he can't be awesome in this league. He just has to work out of the slot. He has to work a step back off the line of scrimmage. He has to work off of motion. That's fine. There's plenty of guys that have made careers that way. You think that Wes Welker lined up as an outside receiver on the line of scrimmage would have had a career worth a damn? No. No, probably not. But Wes Welker is pretty dang sweet when you got him in motion. You're able to move him around and get him free releases, two-way goes. That's Ricky Pearsall. I'm not saying he's on the Wes Welker level or, he's exactly like Wes Welker, but from that standpoint, that is how he's going to be successful in this league. That's how he's going to find most of his success. Two-way goes from the slot, in motion, free releases, and Ricky Pearsall, I think, can be an absolute menace in this league. But you need a number one wide receiver. Now, Brandon Ayuk, I do believe, is that guy. He's just got to get healthy. And I don't know that he'll be that guy this year, if he is ever again. But assuming he can be, they've got their guy. They've got their guy who can work out of the slot, and Ricky. Really, any other receiver, especially when you have George Kittle and CMC, I mean, any other receiver will do. It just will. If you've got a healthy Ayuk, you've got Ricky who's healthy, you add in Kittle and CMC, any receiver will do on the opposite side, in my opinion. At that point, it's like you got too many luxuries. No team has this. So I think that Jennings is expendable eventually, obviously not now. But again, these guys have to stay healthy too. So we'll see how it plays out there. And we'll see if Jennings miraculously gets healthy if he gets a new deal. I think we all had a lot of thoughts coming into camp about this team. Worries, concerns, things that we were confident about. I'll ask you guys. I want to see what your thoughts are. Give me your thoughts based off of reports so far in camp. What surprised you? Something that you were either worried about that is surprising in a good way. It's turning out great based off of reports. Something you weren't worried about that all of a sudden you are concerned about, maybe based off of reports. Curious to see what your thoughts are. I would say something I was worried about that I'm not as concerned about. Now, listen, depth aside, depth is something I was concerned about. That stayed the same. I'm worried about depth. But when it comes to the starters in the secondary, I was pretty concerned about it. I really was. But now that Upton Stout has emerged seemingly the way that he has, now that, and we know that Lenore's a dog. Renardo Green struggled a little bit, but he showed flashes last year. And then before he got injured, he started to show those flashes again. Hopefully he can get back soon. But between those three, I think the secondary is in a pretty good spot. Now, ideally, the safety position would be a little bit more secure. I still am not sold to have a starting safety on this roster that's healthy right now. But if there's one spot on a team that I'm less concerned about when it comes to the defense, like out of all the position groups, safety is the position that if you're going to have a weakness, like let's have it there. I'll be fine with that. Because if you have corners that can cover and you have a defensive line that can get home and you have linebackers that cover, the safety position is just like that stop back. And if you've got two safety looks most of the time, anyways, most safeties can cover half the field for at least a second or two. So the position group that you can have quote unquote problems at or question marks at, in my opinion, on defense is the safety group. So I'm less concerned about that. I was concerned about who's going to be the third corner. And again, I'm still worried about depth. If one of these guys goes down, I don't know what that looks like. But when I just look from a starting standpoint, I feel pretty good about the starting corners. I feel pretty good about that. And that was not something I expected coming into camp, especially at nickel corner. I figured even if Upton Stout was a good player, it just takes time. It takes time as a rookie. And listen, no games have been played. Let's not anoint anybody. But based off of reports, I'm going to trust what we're being told here, and that Upton Stout's a pretty dang good player, and that gives me a sense of security that I didn't necessarily have. And especially, again, it's one thing to be a good player, but as a rookie, to be a good player right away, that's not easy to do, especially as late as he was drafted. So if that's the case, that's pretty awesome. Who's the best DB in the division? Moody Duty. Listen, I don't disagree with this at all. But sometimes you got to kick field goals. Like, I mean, at this point, then if this was the case, then just get rid of field goal kickers, right? Oh, I love CJ West. Love, love, love him. I feel like I feel like if there was a consensus coming out of the draft, most people were geeked about the CJ West pick. Like, we could have a disagreement on, first round pick, second round pick, Nick Martin and Upton Stout and where they were drafted and all those things. I feel like pretty much everybody, though, was lockstep with CJ West. Everybody thought that that was a steal. I don't know one person that was against that pick when it happened. And the fact that we all seemingly were right is even crazier, because usually when everybody's in agreement, that's exactly when things go wrong. So I don't know. I like CJ West. You guys all like CJ West. So there you go. All right, calm down. You're trying to tell me that a rookie safety is the best DB in the division? Coming from a Seahawks fan who actually has the best DB in the division on his team, is going to put a rookie safety above even his own guy? I mean, King, I appreciate you being here, but it's a bit delusional, my man. You actually have the best DB in the division. You don't have to fake like it's somebody else. He's on your team. You do realize that, right? You don't have to act like it's a rookie safety. He's on your team, and it's not that guy. Okay. That's like, I mean, that's like saying, guys, the best tackle in the division, he's on the Niners. And it's Colton McKivitz. Colton frickin' McKivitz. And it's like, the best tackle in the division is on your team. and he's on the opposite side of the line. His name is Trent Williams, not Colton McKivitz, just so you know. So acting as if it's somebody else, eh. Oh yeah, listen, if he earns it, then he earns it. But the best DB in the division is Witherspoon. It just is. What's something that surprised me going the other way? So something that I thought was going to be a negative that's turned into a positive. Um, hmm. I would say the injuries. I mean, listen, I coming off of last year and really for a while, it's not a surprise to see that there's injuries, but it's the amount and how quickly it's happening so early on. That's surprised me. I mean, it's a lot right now. It's a lot of players that have been in and here's the crazy thing. I guess what the surprising thing is not necessarily the injuries. It's who's getting injured. Hey, CMC's healthy. Trent Williams has been healthy. Nick Bosa, George Kittle, healthy. Fred Warner, healthy. I mean, these guys they're all getting a little bit older. Were banged up at points last year. All these guys are healthy. Juice is even injured now. Juice is injured. When is that? Has that ever happened? Juice is hurt. Lenore's hurt. Jennings is hurt. It's kind of surprising who has been hurt. Not necessarily the amount, I guess. The amount it's a lot to take in, and it is surprising as well. But the who, you would expect it to be the aging players, right? It's not those guys. It's actually a lot of the younger guys. Guys that are far south of 30 years old. That's the surprising part. That I didn't see. If you had told me, hey, CMC's missed a couple days here, Trent Williams, George Kittle, that wouldn't be that surprising. It's like, all right, maintenance and get a little bit of an injury. You don't want it to last forever. I get that. I can understand that. But the younger guys, I don't know. I didn't expect that. That's kind of surprising to me. All right, let's talk about this Denver practice. What are the things that you're most looking forward to in these practices? Because we can talk about the game if you want, but the game is not, we're not going to learn a lot from the game. Like, we're going to see some of these young players and what have you, but really the joint practices is where we're going to learn a ton about a lot of these guys, because that's where the competition comes in. That's where the starters are going to go against the starters. Backups versus the backups. And Denver, to me, might be, they're at least in the conversation for the best defense in the NFL on paper. On paper. So, first of all, I hope that they're relatively healthy. 49ers as well. I want to see their secondary versus our wide receivers, number one. I want to see how well the interior of the offensive line holds up, number two. And then I want to see if this offense can move the ball against that defense consistently. Those are the things that I'm looking for. Can the offense move the ball against their defense consistently? Can the interior of the offensive line hold up consistently? And can the receivers win against that secondary? Because that secondary is very, very good. Then let's go to the other side. I want to know, does CJ West continue to dominate the way that he has in practice against another team? Is he kind of an unstoppable force? I want to see that. Can this defensive line get pressure against an opposing quarterback? And what does the rotation look like? What does the rotation look like along the defensive line? Who's starting? Who's getting a majority of snaps? Those are things that I want to see. Those are things that I want to see. So I don't know. That's what I'm looking forward to in this camp. Not this camp, but this one practice, this joint practice. And then we get a second joint practice against the Raiders. Although that one, I'll be looking for different things because we're talking about two different teams that do two different things. So for me, that's what I'm looking for in these upcoming practices. And I want to see how these rookies play against another team. Now, Denver's offensive line isn't elite by any means, but it's NFL players, good NFL players against a young defensive line. How does the young defensive line hold up? That's what I want to know. Can they win? Because we're not going to see, I mean, I would hope that during the actual game, we see some of it, right? We see a little bit of CJ West and all these guys, but we're not going to see a lot of them. The practice reports are going to be crucial. This is what I would ask for. I want to say season ticket holders are going to be in attendance. If they are, and reporters more so, please knock this out of the park. Everybody be ready. Everybody be ready. Come with your best stuff that day. We have got to know, what do they look like against a potentially elite defense? What does this offense look like? What can we expect? This is the first test. This joint practice is way, way more important to knowing what this team potentially is than the preseason game. The preseason game is going to help depth purposes, what have you. But as far as what this team actually is, we need to know what these starters are doing against other starters, especially on a team that has an elite defense. We'll see. Niner for life, you're putting time out. I don't mind you trolling, but brother, doing it 50 times, saying the same thing over and over and over, I'm not here to babysit. All right? I'm not here to babysit. You can get your troll jokes off. I'm fine with that. I'll even have a fun back and forth with you if you want. But when you say the same thing 50 times, timeout. Timeout. Sir Cash Money says, do Little Caesars close at 8? Oh, dude, you have the best comments ever. Your super chats are hilarious. I think they close at 7:30, brother. I think they close at 7:30. Yeah, listen, I mean, again, I don't mind people trolling, but it's like my patience, especially right now, is very, very thin. And I'm going to keep my peace. And if you want to be a child who got a hold of your mommy's iPad and dropped the same comment 50 times, then I'll put you in timeout. And then hopefully you can act like an adult. And if you come back and continue to do it again, then I'll block you. I don't care. Trey Hendrickson. Oh, no. He meant Trey Lance. That's a crazy situation. I'm sure, listen, I wasn't going to bring it up, and I'll just say it's not realistic at all. But I'm sure it's being talked about other places. Micah Parsons and that whole situation. What would it take to get Micah Parsons? Now, again, it's not realistic for the 49ers. I don't think he's going to be traded. I really don't. But if he were to get traded, what do we think the compensation would be? 2 firsts and a third, first and 2 seconds. Like what realistically can the Cowboys get for Micah Parsons? I don't know. It's a lot. You think that we're getting Parsons? Yeah, dude, there's no way. What's up, Jose? How you doing, brother? Yeah, I agree. I think it closes much later. I do. But I like how you put little seizures. There you go. You think 2 firsts? Yeah, I don't know. I think that's what we're looking at. 2 seconds and a fourth. Okay. I think it's going to take at least 1 first and plus 2 seconds and a fourth. I mean, and that's the thing is like, here's the deal. Could the 49ers make it work financially? Like realistically, could they make Parsons work financially? I do think they could. It would take some finagling, but I really think they could. Here's what I'll say though. I think it's the capital to get him that is much harder for the 49ers to overcome than actually paying Micah Parsons. And the reason that I say that is last year's draft class, this draft class, and next year's draft class are the most important for the future of this team. And the 49ers gave up so many picks between the Trey Lance trade and the CMC trade, where we saw what it did to this team, and their depth currently is because of all of that. They have not overcome that enough to put that much draft stock into a single player as great as he is and as awesome as it would be to have him and Bose on the same defensive line. That is not enough to overcome the depth issues that would proceed because of a trade like that you couldn't fix because you don't have the draft capital over the next couple of years. I think that would be harder to overcome than actually finding a way to pay Parsons. I think they could pay Parsons, but depleting your depth because of the draft picks you're giving up and then also the other roster decisions you would have to make, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. For this team to be competitive long term, they need to hit on last year's draft, this draft, and next draft. And that's how they're going to replenish this thing and be competitive for years to come. That's the way that I see it. So I think it's the draft capital in which you would have to give up that is way worse. Exactly. I mean, they're just now starting to recover. This is a great statement. Hey, listen, I'm all for it. As long as he's competing, I don't care who he's competing with. What's up, Sky? It's been a while. Hope everything's going well with you. Says, just wanted to say you're a G, Jesse. I appreciate you. Really enjoy Last Second Sports. Thank you, brother. Also, go Ducks. Let's go. That's right. Go Ducks. It's been a while, Sky. Hopefully everything's great with you. Really appreciate your support. Means the world to me. Let's see. What else do we got? Jerry Jones. He's an idiot. Kinlaw and Jerome. Excuse me. It's Jerome Hargrove. I don't know who this Jerome Hargrave is. All right. It's Jerome Hargrove. I'll give you the one-time pass. Trades were trying to make up for failing to pay Buckner and having no pay. Yeah, I mean, that's what's crazy, right? So the 49ers trade Buckner. Let's think this through for a second. They trade Buckner because they wanted to keep Armstead and Ward. Then they drafted Kinlaw. Kinlaw wasn't what they hoped, so they spent big money on Jerome Hargrove. So then we look at all of that. All the players that they got instead of Buckner, Buckner is still a Pro Bowler on the Colts. Armstead is gone. Ward is gone. Hargrove is gone. Kinlaw's gone. All of them gone. It's kind of crazy. That's the that's the for those of you that don't know, Jerome Hargrove is what Shannon Sharp calls him, calls Javon Hargrave. Jerome Hargrove. So that's what we call him on the channel. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how you get banned from the channel. You're blocked. Just so you know, you're blocked. It's how you get blocked. Was having a mad day until I saw this headline. Moody stay equals. Oh no. Moody stay equals awesome day, says the Rams fan. Nice to see you, Alex, with 2 X's. Great. Yeah, we did lose that trade. Again, though, like to me, I actually understand why they did what they did. I'm not mad at it. You know, I can cry over spilt milk if I want. I got to say at the time, I wasn't upset with the trade. And one thing I always try to do is remain consistent, remember what I thought in that moment, and try to understand. I'm not going to change my mind because things went awry. Yes, it ended up being a bad trade. And not even necessarily a bad trade or a bad thought process. It's just who they got to replace him. That's where it went wrong. They were scrambling. If they had taken Tristan Wirfs in that draft, we would all be okay with the draft. Like it's not about replacing Buckner. If they had just taken Tristan Wirfs, we would have been perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. So that's the way that I see it. I'm not going to have revisionist history. I was fine with it in the moment. The thought process of Armstead, Ward plus a draft pick. Yeah, I'm fine with it. He's not on the team, Sir Cash Money. I'm sorry to let you know, man. For some reason I think you knew that, but yeah, that's sad fact. True. Bro, I got to live with the Ducks killing the Bears. Ducks are pretty good. Ducks are pretty good. Yeah, he knows that Mitch is gone. He knows. See, this is light-hearted trolling right here. I like this. This is good. Well, Sir Cash Money does it the right way. And every time that he comments, it's always like this. And I love that he's a part of the chat. The combo of letting Buck walk while handcuffing the Niners by trading away so many picks that hurt. Yeah, for sure. You just broke it, guys. Breaking news. Breaking news. I don't think I have a breaking news sound effect. I don't. No breaking news sound effect. Mitch Wishnowsky is no longer on the 49ers. Dang. What's up, Corey? Says, so good to see you again, stud. Missed the conversations. Looking forward to a great season with you. Me too, man. Me too. I cannot wait for this season. Yeah, but we also knew he was a really good player, Steve-O. Like, we watched him snap in and snap out. He was a really good player. I mean, and that's the thing. And that's why I'm not going to have revisionist history. We all knew we were getting rid of a really good player and a player that was going to be good for a long time. And he has been. It doesn't mean that the thought process wasn't okay. But the fact that he made 2 Pro Bowls and not with the Niners shows you that he's continued to elevate. If we liked what we saw from Buckner, they got even a better version. Oh my gosh, I will never forget that night. Oh my gosh, where I was sitting, everything. I was in the chat. Kinlaw comes on. That whole thing happens. Grant called me right after that show ended. I mean, immediately, and was like, "What are your thoughts?" I was like, I don't even know what to think. Like, I was half worried that he was going to get in trouble. I was half worried that Kinlaw was going to get in trouble. It was 100% hilarious and then also a little bit sad. Like, there was so many thoughts going through my mind. And then I won't tell you who called on the other line, but pretty important. And he's like, "I'll let you go. I'll let you go." And we ended up talking later that night. But that whole thing was absolutely insane. It was bonkers. And it was one thing to watch it after the fact, but if you were there for the live, those of you that were there for the live, you know what I'm talking about. It was like the craziest thing just happened. The craziest thing just happened. We're like, wait, what? What is going on? Yeah, I was in the chat. Yeah, were you in the chat too, Steve-O? Somebody else in here had to have been in the chat when that happened. That was crazy. Crazy. Yeah, I don't know. What did he mean by the um I think it's a troll from Twitter. Like 3 years ago, I had put a during the off season, like the first off season, I had put a picture of Trey and Brock, and then said that Trey was better, and then said Cope. It was a half troll job. It was pretty funny, I thought. I always said that if the 49ers wanted to win that year, that Brock should have been the pick. But if they wanted to win a Super Bowl, that in my opinion, they should go with Trey. Not because Trey would win them a Super Bowl, but that I just never thought Brock could win them a Super Bowl. Um, I was almost wrong about that, that's for sure. But ultimately, a lot of people have kept that tweet and like to repost it years later, which is fine. I mean, listen, it's the internet. Have fun with it. And I don't mind somebody coming in here and like trolling with it either. I think it's pretty funny. It's just when you do it 500 times, it's like, bro, we get it. I keep a pretty good eye on the chat. I don't see everything that happens, but if you posted it 2 times, I probably saw it. You do it 50 times, you're going to go in timeout. Like, it's not the trolling I have the issue with. It's the acting like a child that needs attention that is weird. So you remember that, like when it went down live, it was much different, I imagine, than watching it after the fact. Um, this isn't surprising. This isn't surprising. To me, in fact, you know what? I don't want to say it's not surprising and then have no backup to this. I'll just show you that I think it's not surprising. Hold on. Trying to look something up. Gosh, man, Twitter is so hard to. So be worth it if I can find it. Oh, in fact, I did it before he was even drafted, which is even better. It's not even after he was drafted. Here we go. Let me share this. Okay. So I said this April 25th, and I said it 2 weeks prior on a Bleacher Report stream, if I remember correctly. I said, Mykel Williams will be a player that, if selected by the Niners, people will talk ish about his rookie year. overlooking his run defense because the pass rush production won't be there. But by the end of year 2, those people will be on a milk carton because Michael will be an all-around playmaker. Can't wait to see if that comes true. And this was before he was drafted. I said this. So that's my thoughts about it. I'm not surprised. Nate Diaz style. I'm not surprised. MFers. This is exactly what I expected to happen. So I'm not worried about it. Sky says a little bit of trolling is good, keeps everyone mentally collused some. Disrespect is dumb, especially for no reason. Again, go Ducks. That's right, go Ducks. Yep. Yep, exactly. Not great. It sounds like not great. Raiders and Eagles made a trade? What's that? Let's take a look. Raiders are trading Jacorian Bennett, their 4th-round pick in 2023, to the Eagles in exchange for DT Thomas Booker. Who? I haven't heard of him either. I haven't heard of him either. All right, y'all. Listen, I got to get my kiddos to bed. I appreciate you. Sorry about the late start for those of you that were here in the beginning. I'll be back tomorrow on the Roundtable Sports Show. I'm going to be hosting the AFC South tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern, if you want to go check that out. And then I'll be a part of the panel for the NFC West at 9 p.m. You definitely should tap in there. It's just the NFC West guys talking a lot of trash, talking about the upcoming season. Definitely need 49er support in that chat. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern. NFC West Roundtable, type that in to your YouTube and be there. Support the 49ers, support me. That'll be great. And then Wednesday, I should be back with Sunil here. So definitely be there. Jamaican boy, my gosh, dude, a lot of throwbacks. Sky, you Jamaican boy, hope you're doing well. Thank you, man. I'm trying. Hope you're doing well also. I know that baby's like a year old at this point. Congratulations again. Hope everything's awesome with you. Appreciate all of you. Stay blessed. We'll talk soon. Much love. Peace.